I know I'm coming live after a long time. I was in India for almost 1 month. Um, we have a BPO offshore unit in Jaipur. Everybody knows about it. And then I had few other. This time I traveled a lot. I was in Bangalore. I was in Hubli. I was in Ahmedabad, Delhi, and then Jaipur, of course, because that's our hometown. But today I have a very important topic which I want to talk about. So without wasting too much time, because it's Saturday and I announced this last minute. The reason I announced it at the last minute because that works perfectly fine. With me, if you pre-schedule something, it sometimes doesn't work very well. But if you are at the last minute, you have some thoughts, you want to share it. And I was reading a wonderful book, which actually I bought 15 years ago. 15 years ago. I want to show you this book. What is this India business? Offshoring, outsourcing, and global services revolution. Now, think about it. This book is written by Paul Davis. It's probably he wrote it in 18 years ago, and still some of the rules are relevant. Some of the things which he has talked about in this book is extremely, extremely relevant in today's time. Now, today I'm going to talk about how to elevate your BPO operations because a lot of our friends who run their BPO unit in Bangalore, Jaipur, Hyderabad, Delhi, Bombay, Gurgaon, different places, and we all face some common issue. And the most important issue which we all are facing is rising the cost of talent. And when I'm talking about the cost of talent, it's not just the ambition of people who are working for us or human assets, but it's throughout the cost of operations has been increasing. And if you do not rise the value at the same time, what we are giving back to our clients, we won't be able to sustain ourselves. So, the rising cost of inflation, the rising cost of living standards, and at the same time, the rising cost of people or employees' expectations. Everything is important. But at the same time, if you are able to increase the productivity of each employee or productivity of your BPO operations, that will really help you not only sustain but also build a world class team around you, which can take your company to the next level. So I'm going to talk about a few things today, and the first and foremost important thing when we talk about the employees' productivity. I hope you are able to hear me out because I don't see how many people join me, but I see that you are able to. I'm live, so I hope you are able to hear me. Just say yes or no, or just okay. So most BPO operations, you would see there are two type of teams. One is a night team and one is a day team. I don't understand now. 15 years ago, 18 years ago, when there was a language barriers in the operations, um, we created those two teams because during the night time, which is in especially in United States, it's a daytime. So most people who work during the nighttime is a call center operation type of team, which dials phones and then speak to the operators, insurance agents, potential clients, and patients sometimes. Now, it has been a long time since this has been invented. It's almost like 10 years. And now technology has gone too far where virtually the calling is become secondary. A lot of these issues you can navigate through technology. And when I'm talking about technology, the importance of communication and the criterias of communication, the principles of communication, it has changed, and it has changed drastically. So even if you call in the night to the insurance company, sometimes they ask you to go to their portal and do the things online, submit the appeal online, send them the claim back online, or find out what is the reason for rejection or denial online. So the point I'm trying to make here is that it is not necessary now to put your 100% employees, if you're serving to a US based client, put it at their time. You can keep your unit for 24 by 7 as per your convenience, as long as your output, your performance, and your quality of standards are exactly as per the client expectation. And that you can do by doing two things. One is called benchmarking. So I have told you the difference between the nighttime and the daytime. It has gone tremendously, it has shrunk. So now there is no more, there should not be any more night team or day team. It should be based on their skill set, it should be based on their talent, it should be based on their job profile. That's the number one thing I wanted to talk, which has changed in last 10 years. Okay, so if you do not speak very good English, if you do not speak it doesn't, if you do not speak very good English, it doesn't mean you have to work in the daytime, or people who are in daytime team are less qualified than the nighttime team. It's not like that. Anybody who has a good skill set of billing, good knowledge, and good experience of BPO, they can equally work during the daytime team and resolve claims, adjudicate claims, and in fact do much better job because your mind is awake, you are awake during the daytime, and you can produce better quality. So that's the first difference I wanted to make it very clear. As long as you understand the client expectations, you understand the SLA's agreement, you understand the benchmarking. So I'm going to come back now. I'm going to go to benchmarking, what I just said. Benchmarking. Remember this word. It is very important word. I'm going to show you some benchmarks, how people work here in United States, right? So I'll give you one benchmark. Let's say you have to make you have to send pair claims, you have to adjudicate pair claims, or you have to do the payment posting. How are you going to, let's say payment posting, very simple work. Every day you guys receive client files, patient files, you do payment posting. So on an average, it used to be like most you would have two screens, you would have paper claims coming in, you look at the paper claims on one screen, and then you manually used to enter payments or entries or do the data entry by looking at the data at one screen. It is not like that anymore. 90% of data, especially in healthcare, has become digital, which means all you have to do is see the screen, look at the data line by line items, and just keep pressing the button. And as long as the data is good, you can see it, you can read it. Just by clicking one button, you can post multiple line items. So instead of earlier we used to think that, okay, if somebody can post 100 patients data, now at the same time your expected employee work level should be 500 data. So you should be able to post 500 patients, 1,000 patients, depending upon how much data you are receiving in each file. Because earlier, you remember, you used to go to each patient's file, look at the data, read it, and manually enter it. But now you are receiving one flat file in a digital format on your computer and you're posting it. So your benchmark has increased in last 10 years, but because of the technology, it has given you a freedom to boost up your productivity to 500 times, 300 times, because data, now you can post 1,000 people data or 5,000 people data. How? Very simple, just by using the technology. Same thing has happened in insurance follow-up. Earlier, you have to make calls. You have to make calls. So people who still make calls in the night times, your average benchmarking should be 50 to 70 accounts per day. 50 to 70 accounts per day if you are doing a manual phone calls. But now, if you are using technology, let's say you are using a Validity, you are using Pair tools, you are using insurance portals, you can send multiple appeals at the one time. You can enter the data by hand, and during the daytime, you can actually enter the data. And instead of 50 to 70 accounts, probably you can send 200 accounts. You can send the data for, and you can resolve, instead of 50 accounts, you can resolve 300 accounts, 500 accounts, depending upon how accurate your understanding of work is and what kind of access you have for that particular portal. So remember, technology is important. Second thing, access is very important. Sometimes your company has access, but you may not have access. And you have to ask for the access to different stakeholders, maybe your colleague, your supervisor. Supervisor has to reach your client, and then your client has to respond it back. But again, benchmarking your own work is extremely, extremely important. So how it has changed in last 10 years. Earlier, whatever the manual physical data you used to enter, now you enter it digitally. So consider that requirement and boost up your productivity by looking into from that perspective that how much you can boost up your productivity. Okay. Third thing, how you can adopt technology or ask your clients to adopt technology. Because what happens, once you see the data, right, you have the benchmarking data. Once you have the benchmarking data, your next thing you need to find out how to keep yourself update with that data, because this is changing every year. uh, so there are various organizations, and I'll give you a few names. There are two organizations you should consider taking the membership. And if you're in India, you can take a student membership, which is cheapest membership. You have the access of their resources, free resources. One is MGMA. You can Google MGMA. You can go online. A lot of their data is for free. A lot of their resources are for free. Second is HPMA. I'm on the board of HPMA, so you can look into the data. A lot of these resources are related to the training. So when you have those training resources in your hand, because what happens, you always have a limit in your company. When you work in a company, you would always have some kind of limitation. And that limitation, no matter how good is your training resources provided in your company, you would always be complaining about it, because your client expectation is very, very high. Because this is a very dynamic, volatile industry right now, especially healthcare in United States. Rules are changing, and because the rules are changing constantly every year, you have to look at the new resources, you have to look at the new coding books, you have to look at the new Medicare rules, new CMS rules. Another website which is very important is CMS website. You should always look at the CMS website, because they have new data, and they have new knowledge based articles, a lot of new information already there. CMS is Center for, they have a portal, CMS dot, you can Google it again. So three important thing: benchmarking, training resources. So we talked about the technology first. We talked about the expectation, how it has changed from in last 10 years. We talked about benchmarking, do your own benchmarking. We talked about the training resources available you, the training resources available to you. Go beyond what you get in your office or unit. Do not depend on your office. Do not depend on your supervisor. You have, see, I can tell you, next 5 years, training is going to be absolutely free for the world. The way it is going, with a lot of video resources. See, I'm talking to you online and I'm giving you all of this education for free. Anybody can go on my LinkedIn channel and learn it, listen it. Similarly, YouTube is a free resource. You can find a lot of YouTube resources for free. Google has a lot of articles which is free. So if you complain in your office that, oh, you are not trained for certain things, you don't have that training resource, forget about complaining. Go beyond what you get in your office and unit. So look at the free training resources available to you. And then if you have any questions, you can always ask to your colleague. You can always reach out to your supervisors. Fourth thing I want to talk about is client requirement. What happens? So if you are looking after a particular one account or a client, and what happens, your supervisor knows probably 60% of it. The company who has outsourced you the work, they know probably 100%. Now, Out of 100%, they have communicated 70-80% to the supervisor or your account manager. Account manager probably gave you 50% of that education back. Now you are left with the 50% of the expectation or client requirement or SLA agreements, what we said. Don't hesitate to ask questions, because what happens if you feel that you are asking too many questions, or if you ask you would make your supervisor mad or you would annoy him. Don't worry about it unless you're 100% sure what you are going to perform or you are going to set. You can't set up your benchmarks if you don't know what you're going to do. So questions ask question. You should have complete knowledge about your industry. So if you're doing billing, you should know about billing, but there are specific client protocols, client requirements, client rules, certain things which is related to the client only. Then you have to go and ask questions. Do not hesitate, because if you hesitate, you don't ask questions, nobody is going to tell you. And if nobody is going to tell you, there is no way you are going to perform your job or you're going to know your benchmarks correctly. You cannot set up your benchmarks correctly if you don't know what you have to do. So again, ask questions. Don't hesitate. Fifth and foremost, one more thing which is very important. Give me 1 second. My throat is okay. AR analysis. I want to talk about this. I gave you a little bit information about it in the beginning, that what is the difference between a nighttime and daytime team. Gone are the days when every claim, denial, or rejection require a phone call. Gone are the days. Now only 20% of your work, especially in healthcare, medical billing, BPOs, you only need probably 20-25% claims require a phone call. If you're a smart biller, you even don't need that. So when you have your own wisdom and experience working on certain set of claims, certain type of claims, then you know why that claim was rejected. And there is always a rejection reason which comes with it when you see the claim rejected in the clearinghouse. Start reading those reports. You would find the reasons why the claim was rejected. Now, when you know the reason, and it also tells you how to appeal it, how to send it back, how to correct it, and how to send it back to the insurance company. If you can do that, you don't have a reason to call the insurance company. Try that first, and then give yourself 1 week or 2 weeks of time, follow up on the same claim again, and then see if you can get that claim paid. Most likely, the claim will get paid on time. Here is the simple rule: every claim you should touch within 15 days if it is not paid. Because if you don't touch a rejection within 15 days, forget it is going to be ever paid again. Because by the time you send the claim, it's 1 month out. Now, on an average industry, if it is a 1 month out, if within a 90 days claim is not paid, other than Medicare, you're not going to get the claim paid. So every claim is important. Every claim needs to be paid on time. If it is not paid, rejection also comes on time. So let's say in 7 days you get a rejection. You have to immediately within 48 hours jump on the rejection, see why the claim was not paid. And if you're a good smart biller, you can figure that out by looking at the clearinghouse report, because there are very standard clearinghouse reports. They have similar codes. Then there is a code, rejection code reason in each report. And more importantly, it also tells you most insurance companies have their online portals, like a Validity, like different type of tools which you can sign up for free, and then you can send the claim information back, what was missing, if there is a demographics which is missing, if there is a medical records which was asked for. All of these things you can literally send it online. Now for 20-25% claims, if you're not sure, you have to call. Yes, that can be given to the nighttime team. And or you can stay maybe for a couple of hours in the nighttime, or once a week just try coming in the nighttime and then see how you can handle it. Because unless you try it, you're not going to learn it. Now if you feel that communication is a challenge, I don't think so that communication is challenge in India anymore. Probably everybody speaks good English. So think about it. That thing had changed in BPO operations in last 10 years tremendously. Earlier, it used to be a work of AR analysis, like a call center type of work, where a person used to stay during the nighttime. And I tell you, the productivity in the nighttime is 50%. If you plan to keep yourself awake after 12 o'clock in the night, it's just very difficult. And if you think that you can do it, your productivity already is 50% in the night compared to the daytime. So try to finish your job by 12 o'clock midnight, even if you have to stay till 12 o'clock. And then whatever that work you could not finish during the daytime and requires a calling, you do it by 12 o'clock and your shift should be over by 12 o'clock. That should be the way it should work, so that you can have a peaceful sleep in the morning time. You feel yourself fresh, next day you come on work. So this is about why I'm focusing on nighttime and daytime team, because the rules for insurance industry is changing, and it's asking everybody to adopt technology. And with the help of technology, like even the insurance companies have started receiving texts, they started have AI chat facility on their portals. You can use chat. Even with the patients, you can use patient portal. You can send them text. You don't need to make calls these days anymore. Instead of the statements which we used to go out by mail, by paper, you can now send them through text. You can send them through email. So you don't need to make phone calls to the patients anymore. So point I'm trying to make is calling is not necessary. Calling is not necessarily 100%. So today I'm going to take some questions if you have, but other than that, these are the points I wanted to make you, and I wanted to tell you how you can elevate your BPO operation, especially in year 2023, because uh, this year it's very important. Communication is important, technology is important, benchmarking is extremely important, training resources you have to figure out by yourself. As I said, go beyond what you get in your office or unit. Ask questions, AR analysis, use technology, use pair tools. Calling is not necessary. All of these are good pointers. Adopt any one of them in your regular BPO operations, and I can tell you, you can immediately boost your productivity. So this is what I wanted to do, a quick 23-25 minutes of video today. If you have any questions, I'm here to take your questions. Again, I would suggest read this book. It's a very important book. Um, if you have not read it, look at the resources. I will continue to make more videos for you, continue to give you more advice as and when it comes to my mind. But thank you very much. I check my LinkedIn, send me messages, send me your questions, and I'm happy to answer those questions. Thank you again.